Hello and welcome. How are you? How have you been? We have 7 months worth of reading to get through. Thankfully, life has been rather busy, so there aren't that many books to cover. With that said, my very quick life update is that I am back to being a paralegal, and I have to tell you that taking that 1-year break from the legal field was a really good idea. Now let's see if I can keep this video to below an hour. So we are starting with Alchemy of Secrets, which I actually read last year, but I kind of forgot to review, so we are reviewing it now. This is the story of a university student who is searching for magic in the real world. And what guides her search are her classes and urban myths and legends. I really love the writing style because it does carry that sense of mystique, of mystery, of magic. The book kind of reminds me of The Starless Sea, however it is more fast-paced. And while I don't really like it when the magic system is kind of all over the place and it's just vibes, it does fit this book. And it is also a romantasy, and I have to say that it did try very hard to be a romantasy, but I think it failed miserably at that endeavor. I really hope that the second book in the series is kind of going to correct course and lead us back a little bit more into some proper romance. Because in this book, all I kept thinking is, you can't trust anybody. Like, you don't know what's going to happen, you can't really trust anybody. Which in a way it was fun, but also I have developed trust issues with this series now. And Alchemy of Secrets gets a 4 out of 5. Next up we have Mate, which I also read last year and forgot to review. Does that kind of speak for itself? In a way it does. Mate is the second book in the Bride series. If I do tell you what it's exactly about, it will spoil book 1. So I'm not going to do that. Same as my review for Bride. All I really have to say about this book is that it's highly embarrassing that I enjoyed this. But it is what it is. I liked it. It was fun and it was utterly cringe. I would even argue that it's cringier than Bride. Okay? However, I had fun with this. The writing style isn't bad. 4 out of 5. Again. And now we have Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, which I was really excited about. It's book 3 in the Emily Wilde series. I adored the first book, loved the second one, but this one was a bit of a disappointment. It was boring. It was. However, it was still cozy. It was still adorable, enchanting and atmospheric, and it was written very well. The writing style itself, I really love. And very importantly, it's consistent writing style. So the third book in the Emily Wilde series gets a 3 out of 5. And now we have something that I am really excited about. The Strength of the Few. Yes, I have taken the sleeve off. I have actually taken the sleeves off all of my books because they kind of bug me when I look at them on my shelves and it's all a mess of different colors and textures and fonts, and some people might think that that's a little bit stupid, but it is what it is, okay? All of my books now, all of my hardbacks are without sleeves, which also means that there really isn't a big point of me waving this big boy around, but I do wave my books around, so bear with me, please. The Strength of the Few is the second book in the Hierarchy series. The first one was The Will of the Many, which I gave 5 out of 5 to, and I was losing my mind waiting for the second book. It did not disappoint. I don't want to spoil too much about it. Some things pissed me off a lot. Some things made me cry a little bit. And at the end of the day, I want more. I really want the third book. I want to read more of Viz Res, Okay, if you know, you know. I do want to say more, but it will be spoilers for those who are on book 1 or haven't read the series at all. So I'll leave it at that, and the strength of the few gets a 5 out of 5. I promise not all of the books in this video will be series. Then I read an arc called Graceless Heart, which I had high expectations for, and that was my fault. It is a romantasy. It's set in 15th century Italy. The main girl is forced into a competition, which of course she wins. That is not spoilers, okay? That is part of the summary, okay? So I'm not spoiling anything for those who want to read this. And then she is sent to live with this immortal, very rich family, and that she has to do something for them. And she also has forbidden magic. And of course she falls in love with the son or one of the sons in the family. I don't remember anymore. You might be asking at this point, why did I have high expectations? Well, maybe not expectations, but I had hope, because I thought the premise was interesting because of the setting. It was 15th century Italy. There was supposed to be some drama with the Pope and the Medici, and it was supposed to be something more different from the other romantasies that you have out there. It wasn't really any different. And also it is marketed as an adult romantasy, but it 100% reads as a YA romantasy. The prose was very dry and simple. The world building was all over the place. The main girl is annoying, naive, stupid, just generally obnoxious. I didn't care about the romance. The magic system was also all over the place. And I have to say that the problems with this book started from the beginning. Okay, this is just an example. You have the main girl casually carrying a 4-meter long ladder throughout the city at night when there is a curfew in place. No one notices her. No one hears her. No one reports her. And then she gets to the city center with that ladder, and she opens up the ladder in city center and climbs on top of it and does whatever she's doing. I'm not gonna say what she does. And still, no one can see her through a window, maybe, or there aren't any guards. Actually, it is important to say what she's doing on that ladder. She is talking to a prisoner, and there aren't any guards around to notice her and to stop her. I mean, sure, the guy is up high, that's why she needs a ladder, so of course he can't run away, but surely you wouldn't leave a prisoner unguarded. It's just ridiculous. From the get-go, it's just ridiculous. Thank you, NetGalley, for the arc. Thank you. However, I am giving Graceless Heart a 2 out of 5. You might be wondering why I'm not giving it a 1 out of 5, and that is a valid question. I can't exactly pinpoint why. There is something stopping me from giving it a 1 out of 5. It doesn't necessarily belong in my pile of shame. My pile of shame are books that get a 1 out of 5 or below, and I utterly regret laying my eyes upon them. I wouldn't say that this book really belongs there, so it does get a 2 out of 5. Next up, we have End of Watch, which is the last book in the Bill Hodges trilogy by Stephen King. Again, I don't want to spoil it for you. However, I did cry like a little baby, but at the same time, I am also kind of disappointed, because in this book we do start venturing into the supernatural, and I was kind of hoping for the trilogy to remain just, not supernatural. I just wanted to remain a basic crime trilogy. I don't know. I know it's Stephen King, so it does kind of go hand in hand, like the supernatural and him, but I was hoping for something that's just specifically crime. I am a little bit heartbroken that the series is done. So End of Watch gets a 4 out of 5. And now we have Shooting an Elephant, which is a little lovely collection of essays by George Orwell. My favorites, okay, I have to tell you my favorites. I have underlined a lot of stuff in this, but my favorites were Politics and the English Language and In Defense of English Cooking, which was absolutely endearing. I had lots of fun. I read it on the tube and I was trying so hard not to smile like an idiot. But yeah, Shooting an Elephant gets a 5 out of 5. And then I read The Love Hypothesis. What can I say? What can I say? I feel like Ali Hazelwood is kind of becoming a go-to author. I'm saying that as I have read 2 more Ali Hazelwood books after this one. So in total that will be 5. Well, I haven't read 5. I'm currently in the middle of reading a 5th book. But as I was saying, I think she's kind of becoming the go-to author for me when I don't really feel like reading anything specifically, or I can't decide what to read, or I'm just kind of stuck and I need something that's very digestible and fun. So I just go for Ali Hazelwood at this point. I don't know. I guess that's how it goes now. And as with Bride and Mate and the other book I read this one in 24 hours. That's just how easy and quick they are to read. For those of you who don't know, The Love Hypothesis actually used to be a Kylo Ren and... what was her name? Rey. Her name was Rey. So it was a Kylo Ren and Rey fanfic. As you do. The story of The Love Hypothesis now takes place in current times. It is a contemporary romance, I would say. Is it a contemporary? Why is my head just not connecting terms and people together? Let me check. Yes, it is contemporary. Sorry, I think my English is just going a little bit insane. It's a fake dating story between a PhD student and a professor. It takes place in the STEM field, which is kind of nice. And yeah, that's the Love Hypothesis for you. With that said, the plot of The Love Hypothesis is very basic. Okay. I also wouldn't say that there was any strong characterization. I am also starting to notice that there is definitely a pattern in Ali Hazelwood's writing. And I don't just mean style-wise, because obviously every author has their own style, but her characters are always just kind of the same. Some might not agree with me, but they kind of read the same way, even if they have like their little personality quirks, because she does make every one of her characters have like their own little thing, right? But even if they do that, and they look different, and they have different health conditions or problems, they still kind of read the same. And especially her male characters. Her male characters are just kind of... they don't really stand out. However, The Love Hypothesis was fun, so it gets a 3 out of 5. And now we're jumping right into 11/22/63, which could quite possibly be my favorite Stephen King book so far. So in 1922-63, we have our main character who travels back in time to save JF Kennedy from dying. To sum it up very briefly, this book broke my heart. Okay, it really did. Also, it's written in such a atmospheric way. It really like takes you back in time with the character, and you're experiencing life in the 1960s and the late 1950s. It is beautifully written. I did cry like a little baby with this one as well. I cried so much. There is also a sneaky reference to it. If you have read the book, let me know if you caught that. But that reference made me want to read it, which I am reading right now, but I have been kind of stuck on it for the last few months. It's kind of losing me, but I will finish it. The only real issue I have with this book is that I couldn't quite get why Jake was so dedicated to saving JFK. Like, the reasoning felt very, very weak for me here. But anyway, it gets a 5 out of 5. We're moving on to The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson, which is the 4th book in the Mistborn Arc 2 series. And the last one in Arc 2. And Brando Sando, you're causing me emotional damage. You really are, okay? You owe me reparations.
Sheldon, look, I am scared and in a lot of pain. Could you please take a break from being you for just a minute and try being, I don't know, comforting?
I'm sorry. They're there. Everything's going to be fine. Sheldon's here.
Thanks, that's much better.
That's it. That is it. And I know I will sound like a crybaby. I am a crybaby, but I cried so much reading this, okay? This is pain personified. And I am mad. I am also grateful for allowing me to experience this, but I am also mad. The Lost Meadow gets a 4 out of 5. And now we're going back to Ali Hazelwood because obviously I had to recover from all of the crying. So I read Hot for Slayer. And I think this is my favorite Ali Hazelwood book so far. It was so fun. It was so utterly fun. Okay? It's basically a modern urban romantasy between a vampire and a vampire slayer. And the key thing is that the vampire slayer loses his memory and he forgets that he's a vampire slayer, and the vampire kind of starts taking care of him. It's so funny. It's so funny. I highly recommend it. I do want to get a physical copy of it. Are there physical copies of it? Because I haven't seen any. There aren't physical copies. I would like one, please. So, I don't know, get to it, publishers. Get to it. 5 out of 5. And because I read Hot for Slayer, the next thing I read was an arc called Fangs with Benefits, in which we have 2 co-workers at an IT company. Was it an IT company or was it just an IT department? I can't remember. Anyway, they both work in IT. However, here's the key thing. The guy is the new hire who has actually taken the promotion from our main girl, and he is a vampire who's trying to kind of join current society, and he actually knows absolutely nothing about technology.
It's gone play.
No, it's just asleep.
Arise. Arise. What is arise again? Control-Alt-7?
It's so funny. I mean, maybe not so funny, but it is funny. And it is a romance book as well. Now, of course, it's very cliche. It really is. And it does kind of feel like the author had a list next to her she was writing with all the tropes she wanted to include and like all the very popular scenes in a romance novel that she wanted to include, and she kind of just checked them one by one. It did feel that way. However, it was still very fun. So it gets a 4 out of 5. Oh, wait. Yes, I do remember though that I really didn't like the ending. That was way too cliche. Like way too cliche. Okay? If this is the top of the cliche scale, it went above. Next, we have a book that it took forever to get to me, which is The Everlasting. You might be asking why it took forever. It's because it was a birthday present for me from some friends in the UK. However, they sent it through Royal Mail, which also meant going through Bulgarian post. It was stuck at border control for 3 months. It took forever to like sort out documentations and stuff, and they just wouldn't release it. And they returned it to sender. And then my friend sent it back with DHL. So I got it after, I would say, 4 months. Okay, but I did get it in the end, and it was worth the wait. It really was. It is another romantasy, and we have the story between a knight and a scholar. Okay, but this time it's reversed, so the knight is the woman and the scholar is the dude. We do have traveling back and forth from, past to present to future. I don't want to spoil too much because honestly part of the journey, I would say again, is not really knowing what this book is about, which is something I quite enjoy when books kind of have as a feature, is that actually not knowing what the book is about makes the book better. The book itself has a mixture of writing styles. I think I would say 2 or 3, I don't really remember, but it does kind of mix together rather well. The prose is stunning. Throughout the whole time of reading this book, it does make you feel nostalgic in a way. Like you can actually feel the heartbreak and grief throughout the whole of the book. And there's this prevailing feeling of longing, of mourning. And at the same time, the story is told with a light and easy humor that makes it all the more bittersweet. yes, it's definitely very bittersweet. And just the writing itself is very lyrical. However, while the first 2/3 of the book were very, very good, I would even say exceptional, the last 1/3 of the book was kind of eh. Because I kind of feel like the ending was protracted just so we could get all of these plot twists served to us. Because realistically, once we got to the last 100 pages, the whole conflict could have ended so quickly. But anyway, The Everlasting gets a 4 out of 5. Also, look at the spray edges. Pretty. We're moving on to A Study in Drowning, which is, yes, another romantasy, and we have the main girl who is studying architecture and the main dude who is studying literature, if I remember correctly. They both end up in this decrepit manor that's slowly being basically swallowed up by the ocean, and it belonged to the author of some fairy tales. Was it fairy tales or just poetry? Don't remember exactly, but it was about fairies. And so the main girl is trying to figure out a way to redesign and rebuild the manor, while the dude is researching the life and works of the author that passed away. And while they are in this manor, they start experiencing some stuff, and yes, there is this, let's say, fairy that's kind of haunting them. Let's say it's that, okay? Now, I quite enjoyed how creepy and atmospheric the writing is and the world itself is. I think that's actually what really got me into the book. Yeah? However, the first 2 chapters were basically a huge lore dump, a huge world building dump, which I'm really not a fan of. I do think that when you are creating that type of world, you should kind of sprinkle it throughout the book, you know, and not just go like, here is the world, and then go from there. For me, that's kind of a lazy style of world building. But putting that aside and just kind of getting past the first 2 chapters, the world did kind of suck me in. The main girl as a character, I didn't particularly enjoy. However, she is well built and her character is consistent from the beginning until the end. I know that there's a second book, but I don't really want to read it because I'm pretty sure it's going to ruin the first book for me. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the series at that, and A Study in Drowning gets a 4 out of 5. Oh, this is exciting. Now we have a book from our book club, from our long forgotten book club with my best friends, because we just kind of stopped reading together as a group. Because you know when there's a book club and people read at different speeds and people have different moods, and so we never really quite match up in that regard, but we have decided to try and revive our book club. So the first book we read in the revival series is Persuasion by Jane Austen. Amazing writing style, because Jane Austen is the mother, okay? She is the mother of romance literature. And she just has such a way with words and with social critique. It's beautiful. It is the love story between our main girl and a dude. I think I just like saying the word dude. And a dude who she was friends with and she was in love with when they were younger, but her family opposed the relationship because he was from a lower background, and then he went off into the sea, into the ocean, and he made his fortune, and he returned, I think, a captain with lots of money, and now they're kind of reintroduced, and there's this tension because they're kind of trying to hide that there was something between them from the people around them, from their surroundings. And we just kind of watch how their story and their relationship progresses throughout the book. It is a little bit slow. Plot-wise, it was a hit or miss. Definitely not as good as Pride and Prejudice. I mean, Pride and Prejudice is just the height of romance literature for me. I'm a huge Pride and Prejudice fan, but it was still a very enjoyable book. Jane Austen's prose is just heaven to my eyes and my brain. Okay, so Persuasion gets a 5 out of 5. And now we have an impulse buy. The impulse buy is this huge set of Caraval. Yeah. The reason it was an impulse buy is that it was down from 130 something euros to I think it was like 60 euros because it's damaged. Okay, I am someone who doesn't really care if a book is damaged because I damage my books. I believe a book should look well read. I love when a book looks well read, like it has been through a lot, like I have carried it in my bag and touched it, you know, and I have given it the love and attention it deserves. I don't really pay a lot of attention to how well preserved my books are. Of course. We're not talking about ripping pages and staining them with food and all that jazz. We're not talking about that, okay? But the damage on this set was literally this thing here, and there's like some little stains on this. I think some pages were kind of, yeah, you can't even see it, but basically some of the pages were like a little bit, what do you call that? They weren't dog-eared, but they were just kind of in like this. You can't really see, can you? Well, it looked like the pages were damaged, but then all I had to do was just straighten them and flatten them out, and then they were fine. So this was absolutely a steal. I did like Once Upon a Broken Heart quite a lot. I enjoyed the series. I enjoyed the first 2 books. The last book was kind of but I enjoyed the series. And I liked Stephanie Garber's writing style, which is also why I read Alchemy of Secrets, which I also really enjoyed. So I thought I might as well get Caraval. Am I kind of regretting the 60 euros at this point? I am. But it's still pretty, yeah. So, I read book 1. It's a story about, let's say, a magical island, circus, place thingy. Our 2 main characters, which are sisters, end up going there kind of to try and escape their normal lives. And there's romance, there's magic, and there is one character from Once Upon a Broken Heart that is supposed to appear in this series. I haven't gotten to him, I think, at least not in the first book. And if I do continue reading this series, it will be because I want to read more of this character from Once Upon a Broken Heart, because Caraval was just a disappointment. The prose is just very simple. It's very simple, very cringy, and I think it's rather obvious that the author just didn't have the writing experience that she has now. I will probably read the rest of the books at some point, because I do have them. So if I'm extremely bored and I don't really know what to read, I will probably finish this series. But for now, it's not really in the plans, and Caraval gets a 3 out of 5. Now, as I'm putting these away, the next book that we have is something that I'm very, 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 very excited about. I just don't yet have the copy that I want to show you, because I did get like the special edition to go with my special edition of the first book in the series. The next book is The Exquisite Torment of Loving Your Enemy. This book is the second in the series. The first one was The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, which is based on my favorite fanfics of all time.
Turn to page 394.
For those of you who don't know, I am a huge Dramione fan. Okay, and that fanfic, I swear by it. It's so good. Like, it's so good. Okay, and the author got a book deal because of it, and she did kind of rewrite her fanfic. Well, no, she didn't rewrite it. It's definitely inspired by her fanfic, like the books that she wrote. but they are different from the fanfic. They're not like a copy, basically. Like, she did really expand on it and change it a lot, and it is now her own work. I have the first one in a special limited edition, and I did manage to snag a copy of the second one, but it hasn't arrived yet. I think they're gonna be shipping them out in October. It's really funny, the prose is great. I am really looking forward to seeing what the author is going to write next. It wasn't as good as the first book, but it was still a great read, and it gets a 5 out of 5. And then I kind of got into a little bit of a reading slump because of work and health issues and studying for my last master's degree exam. And then I went back to the UK for a week because I had to do my master's exam. And I went book shopping because, oh my god, the one thing I really, really, really missed about the UK, and especially London, are the bookstores. Yeah. Waterstones. My love. My love. Anyway, so I read The Summer War by Naomi Novik. I kind of have a very toxic relationship with Naomi Novik because so far all the other books I read of hers, which are Uprooted and Spinning Silver, I didn't particularly enjoy. I had a lot of criticism about them. They both got 3 out of 5. But yet for some reason, if I see Naomi Novik, I buy it. So I bought The Summer War. I do also have Very Deep, but I haven't gotten around to reading it yet. And The Summer War actually really won me over. It's like an adult short fairy tale. Like, you can honestly read it in one sitting, and this has absolutely become my favorite Naomi Novik work so far. What it's about, I mean, it's really short, and I don't want to say anything about it specifically because it's just so tiny, and giving you the plot for it is just kind of eh. I didn't buy it for the plot, I bought it because it said Naomi Novik. But it does get a 5 out of 5. And then I got another amazing book, which is A Natural History of Dragons, a memoir by Lady Trent, in which we have Lady Trent going on her first adventure researching dragons. This is set in Victorian England, Victorian world. Is she in England? I think she is in England. Anyway, doesn't really matter, okay? But she's a woman that is really fascinated by dragons and she wants to study them, but because she's a woman, she's not really allowed to, and it's frowned upon, but she does find a way, and we kind of follow her through her childhood into her first research trip. The prose is lovely. The humor is gentle and very well written. It's not a funny book. It's not something that will have you laughing out loud, but it is definitely something that's going to kind of make you snicker. The characterization was consistent. The world itself was convincing. And I'm really, really looking forward to reading more of these books. And I'm actually beating myself up for not buying the rest of the series while I was in the UK, because now I have to buy it online and it's going to take forever to arrive in Bulgaria. But I will be ordering the rest of the series. Also, if you did enjoy Emily Wilde and you're looking for something similar, try this. It is not whimsical. I wouldn't say it's cozy, but it definitely has the same researchy vibe, and it's very, very nice. And the prose, as I said, is very good. So, 5 out of 5. And then I read A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, because I saw that the author is the same author as the one of The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I kind of bought on a whim because it was set in Norfolk, and because I lived in the Norfolk area, and I thought it was going to be kind of nostalgic, and it was. Well, that's one of the reasons why I picked it up, but then I ended up enjoying it because the author is rather nice. So in this one, we have the main girl. She's a witch. She loses most of her magical powers because she resurrects her aunt, and that drains her, basically. And she ends up just running the magical inn that she lives in together with her aunt. And there's just this ensemble of side characters that really add like a very specific charm to the book. And then we have the love interest, who is a witch, a wizard, and a scholar. And he ends up living in a magical inn, and there is, you know, weird stuff happening, and it's funny, and it's endearing, it's heartwarming. The love is cute. However, I am giving it some negative points for the characterization of the love interest, because we are told that he is cold and that he acts in a specific way, but we actually aren't really showed that side of him. He's actually always portrayed as nice and calm and just generally a good guy. We never really get the cold thing we are told about him. Also, some of the descriptive narratives do become a little bit too repetitive for my taste. Mainly all the talk about cinnamon buns and stars. Overall, it was a very good read, and it gets a 4 out of 5. We're getting close to the end. Then I read Masters of Death, in which we have a real estate agent trying to sell a haunted house, but she can't because the house is haunted and she can see the ghost haunting it because she is a vampire. And she basically goes out to hire someone to expel the ghost from the house, or just like help her with her ghost problem, and that someone is the godson of death. Then we get some drama, and we also get an ensemble of various characters. The first thing I will say is that the author seems to have a deep passion for M dashes. Seriously, take a shot every time you encounter an M dash in this book. Also, everyone rounds on everyone, and it's mildly annoying. What I did really enjoy about this book is that the narrative is not linear. However, there was a little bit too much jumping around between characters and time, and because of all that jumping around, specifically between the characters, I couldn't really connect with anyone, and I didn't really care about anyone. Halfway through... Hello, love! Почти съм готов. Thank you, Майна. Обичам те.
You disgust me!
Halfway through, it got a little bit too melodramatic. And one of the main things about this book is that there is a game that we are consistently told how important it is, how serious it is, how big the stakes are. But then when we actually got to the game itself, it was just disappointing. It felt flat. Like, it was so hyped up, and it was shrouded in so much mystery, and then nothing really came of it. So yeah, I feel like the story had lots of potential, but it just didn't perform well. Masters of Death gets a 3 out of 5. Now, amongst all of these books, I did also read a very generous sprinkle of Zutara fanfics. I think the Avatar fans watching this will probably understand, hopefully will understand, that when we had the movie leak and we had all of these TikToks and Instagram reels about Zuko, me as a longtime Avatar fan, I kind of lost my mind, okay? So I read a whole bunch of Zutara fanfics, which I would normally count towards my reading goal, but I got a little bit too embarrassed marking them on my Goodreads and Fable account, so I'm just gonna say I've read a bunch, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. Now, as always, thank you for watching. If you have any recommendations, feel free to leave them in the comments. I do have a shelf on Goodreads where I record all of the recommendations, and I am very slowly getting through that list. Also, if you have read any of the books I mentioned, you're more than welcome to leave comments, to leave your own reviews, to critique my reviews. As long as we keep it civil, this is a safe space. We can discuss things as adults. That's the whole point, I would say. So yeah. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!